Hello, my name's Michael Keneally, and this is the detailed timetable video and blog for the astrology of November 2020. Do see my crucial overview video and blog for November 2020, which draws it all together. But there's very, very great advantage in hearing the detail of the planetary degrees and dates. So, the Sun starts November at 15 degrees Vedic Libra and ends November at 14 degrees Vedic Scorpio. And this is the Sun moving through Swati Nakshatra, ruled by Rahu, then into Vishakha Nakshatra on the 6th of November, then entering Vedic Scorpio on the 16th of November, and entering Anuradha Nakshatra on the 19th of November. Now, very importantly, when Sun is in Vedic Libra, he's receiving an 8th house aspect from transiting Mars. Please hear, this will be an energy of violence in our personal lives and in the political and social level. And when Sun moves into Vedic Scorpio on the 16th of November, of course Sun will be in Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars, more violence, potential and risk. Lunations. There's a new moon on the 15th of November, a full moon on the 30th of November, which is an eclipse, and then a super powerful new moon eclipse on the 14th of December that is one of the two 9/11 eclipses in exact same degree and date as they occurred in the year 2001. It brought the Twin Towers. So very problematic energies from lunations. Let's look at them in a bit more detail. The new moon of the 15th of November. So it's at 29, the Sun and Moon are at 29 degrees Vedic Libra in Vishakha Nakshatra. And Venus is in very low dignity because it's in Vedic Virgo at this time, the sign of his debilitation. So it is the case that it's very important to make new moon intentions. So listen to the energies upcoming for the full moon that this new moon leads to. And try and make an intention that can be fulfilled with the energy of the full moon. So the full moon occurs on the 30th of November and it's an eclipse, as I said. Moon at 15 Vedic Taurus in Rohini Nakshatra. Sun at 14 Vedic Scorpio in Anuradha Nakshatra. Okay, and we're here now with the Jupiter in very low dignity that I spoke about in the crucial summary video, and I speak about more below in this summary video. So, eclipses are the undamming of dammed up energy for good or ill. So in your new moon intention and guiding that through to the full moon eclipse of the 30th of November, see what undamming needs to occur in your life at the level of the Earth's surface. Eclipses, as you know, are often associated with earthquakes and tsunami. The more rigidly we cling to our pent-up energies, the more violently we feel the effects of eclipses. But part of this, we have to look into next month, the new moon eclipse of the 14th of December. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the same as the 9/11 eclipse. I think I said that. And this is in 29 degrees Vedic Scorpio in the Gandanta degree at the end of Scorpio, at the end of Jyesta Nakshatra. And it's a very fraught energy. It's on the threshold of what's called a Bhukta Mula, and it's an energy to be handled very carefully if you have moon there especially, but also sun or ascendant. And of course this eclipse is on that degree. Now, the important thing to note is that this eclipse falls on the natal moon conjunct Ketu, moon conjunct south node in Donald Trump's birth chart. And it's activating his natal Sun, Rahu, Uranus conjunction. And so I did an earlier blog and video in June where I predicted this would unhinge the stability of his mind and leading him to behave with even aggressive and violent behaviours with quite a dark, opportunistic tinge to them, whether he wins the election and sets a scene for being the new president, or whether he loses it and declares the election is rubbish and void. He will strongly exhibit the effect of an eclipse on his natal moon Ketu. I've seen it so often in people's charts. It can send people into utter hissy fit. And of course the key thing is to see that these dark behaviours from leaders and in the social political scale crucially are driving so many, and hopefully you and me, to more and more embrace the light. That is a divine purpose to be found in the middle of all the darkness and conflict and frustration. The other thing to note is that only on the 23rd of September the nodes of the moon changed sign. Ketu was in Sagittarius, Rahu was in Gemini, but now, since the 23rd of September, depending on various measurements of the nodes, Ketu is in Vedic Scorpio, where he is severe and cutting in the extreme, and Rahu is in Vedic Taurus. And in fact, the nodes changing sign is an instability energy. I predicted, and rightly, that it would bring a second wave of the coronavirus from September, although I do believe the coronavirus would clear up in the early months of 2020. And in fact, Rahu transiting Vedic Gemini in Ardra Nakshatra, ruled by Rahu, was the signature for the arise of the coronavirus. So these, we're still in the transition of the nodes of the moon into different signs, and that is mega deep instability time. Okay, let's go on to Mercury. Mercury starts November at 2 degrees Vedic Libra, retrograding to 1 degree Vedic Libra on the day of the US presidential election, the 3rd of November 2020. And obviously when a planet goes from retrograde to direct, it has no motion. And the whole point is the slower a planet's motion in the heavens, the greater its power. The slower its motion, the more deeply he carves his effects. And Mercury will be in Chitra Nakshatra, ruled by Mars. And incidentally, Mars in the heavens on the day of the election will be in Revati Nakshatra, ruled by Mercury. And Mercury is receiving an 8th house aspect from Mars. This distortion of Mercury by retrograde and association with Mars will bring violence and rhetoric that will be horrific. So we'll all have to be careful, both individually, and the United States needs to be careful socially and politically, or Mercury will behave extremely problematically. Now, the fascinating thing is that Mercury was in exactly the same status on the day of the presidential election in the year 2000 that led to a recount and a Supreme Court hearing. There will be a similar lack of clarity and delay this time in 2020. And to make matters worse, Saturn-Pluto-Jupiter conjunction, which is vastly powerful, is square to Mercury, making Mercury in a very torn state. How can it respond to Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter, such different energies. But also, so important to note, Neptune is square the nodal axis at this time, bringing destined illusion and deception. Also, note that Uranus is opposition Mercury by November the 17th at 13 degrees Aries to Libra. Positively, Uranus opposite Mercury could be conceptual breakthrough and revolution inspiration, but negatively, it's horrific Mercury problems, revolutionary speech, rhetoric, destruction. Mercury has actually been in a generally horrible state for months, and I'm really fed up with it. Mercury enters Vedic Scorpio on November the 28th. Mercury is exactly conjunct Ketu in the huge 9/11 eclipse of December the 14th. And when both Mercury and Ketu are at 25 degrees Scorpio, positively this can be conceptual and communication, inspiration and breakthrough. But you can see what a tortured progression of energy context Mercury is moving through in November and December 2020. Let's go on to Venus. Venus starts November at 11 degrees Vedic Virgo. He enters Libra on the 17th of November. Now Libra is the sign he rules, but when he's in Virgo up to the 17th of November, then he's debilitated. So please make a special attempt to keep love alive. Please make a special attempt to have beauty, harmony and creativity in your life. In the associated blog post, I've actually put the sign dignities graph for the 1st of November. And you can see, if you go to the blog, how horrifically weak Venus and the Sun are. And this shows the power of Vedic astrology. You can go on forever analysing deeper and deeper the way the energies will manifest within the sidereal zodiac. Well, let's go on to Mars. Oh no. Mars starts November at 22nd Vedic Pisces. He's retrograde until the 14th of November. And Pisces is the sign of his debilitation. As I said, I've done 2 videos on this Mars transit. It's ghastly. You see, Mars is debilitated in Pisces. Any planet brings problems when retrograde. Additionally, Mars has 3 Gandanta crossings. He goes forward from Pisces to Aries, which he's done. He then retrogrades back from Aries to Pisces, and from mid-November he will start a 3rd passage through the Gandanta zone from Pisces to Aries. This will bring tremendous vicious instability at the social plane, but of course the Gandanta can open us to spiritual awareness, because it gives us an opportunity to see the insubstantiality of this worldly realm of Mahamaya. And what I want to say is that while Mars is in Pisces, which is the 4th house of the Kelleher chart for the USA, well, it predicts fighting in the homeland, Mars transiting the 4th house. So that will happen. So Mars's energy in November and indeed from June 2020 to February 2021 is very turbulent, stressful and irritable, and will bring violence. Jupiter, well, this is supremely important. There's just so many big important things. Jupiter starts November at 27 degrees Vedic Sagittarius, but he enters Vedic Capricorn on the 20th of November. Now, Venus is debilitated in Vedic Capricorn, and so that means, well, Jupiter is, the divine nature of Jupiter is our blessing, our guru connection, our expansion. That collapses. In the associated blog, I've put the sign dignity of Jupiter. I'll show it to you here, but please do look at the blog. And not only that, the sign dignity of Jupiter across all the wonderful Varga charts. Vedic astrology has a magnificent set of divisional or Varga charts which are extrapolated from the main birth chart, and each Varga chart says something magnificently valuable about a particular area of our life. And well, I'll just show you here just how bad Jupiter's position is on the day he moves into Capricorn. That sets the tone for his entire transit through Capricorn. Some people argue, oh well, Jupiter will help Saturn. Yes, he will a bit, but he is gravely debilitated and Saturn is supremely strong in Capricorn. So let's not try and get too clever. And anyway, Jupiter moves out of Capricorn into Vedic Aquarius on the 20th of November next year, 2021. Saturn will then be on his own then in Vedic Capricorn, the stern Lord of Karma reigning supreme. Jupiter debilitated in a Saturn-ruled sign. I must tell you that the last time Jupiter moved into Vedic Capricorn, as he does in November 2020, was in 2008, and that brought economic collapse. In Ireland here, there had been the Celtic Tiger, a huge building boom, but the bubble burst. And just a little local example, there are loads of Mick mansions around here that are half built. People borrowed loads of money and then they couldn't pay to finish the building of their houses. Some of them emigrated. They just drove to the airport and left the keys in the car and got on the plane to escape their debts. That was the last time that Jupiter was in Vedic Capricorn. Jupiter enters Vedic Capricorn this month. And so it may be necessary for you and me as individuals to plan for possible recession. Strategize your way forward, diversify your income if you need to, promote yourself better. Prepare now for possible recession. Cut your expenditure if you have to. There's a twist to the Jupiter tale, and that is Jupiter-Pluto. What explosion. Jupiter and Pluto come together in exact conjunction on the 12th of November at 28 Vedic Sagittarius. Okay, negatively, Jupiter-Pluto brings about plutocracy, and that will be calling the shots at government level, especially in the United States. But also striving for power by the masses. That can be another form of Jupiter-Pluto. And the two of those will meet each other head on. There could be fighting. And because it's in Vedic Sagittarius, there could be an explosion of righteous, fundamentalist energies. The conjunction is in Uttarashada Nakshatra, which is ruled by the sun. And this Uttarashada context will make the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction even more unbending and demanding and confrontational. The translation of the name Uttarashada is unchallenged victory, the latter invincible one. And its qualities are enduring, invincible and aggressive. It can storm forward, it can have dogged persistence. The atom bomb explosion energy of Jupiter-Pluto is there. Make sure you understand it. Understand how it'll manifest in your life and use its great power to bring the needed and successful transformation in your forward life path. Saturn. Saturn starts November at 2 degrees Vedic Capricorn and ends November at 4 degrees Vedic Capricorn. Saturn too is in Uttarashada Nakshatra. So when Jupiter joins Vedic Capricorn, his strength collapses. Saturn is left as the victor, and this will favour the US Republican Party because it's all about closed borders and structured definitions. Saturn is beginning to pick up speed after his very long station at 1 degree Vedic Capricorn, since he retrograded and turned direct on the 29th of September. So Saturn is in high dignity and strength in November. And Saturn is the victor at world level and in our lives. We need to understand the divine nature of Saturn. We have to respect and obey his imperatives, because when we do, we will structure and prioritise all the other beautiful things in our life, rather than just banning them because of negative Saturn blocks. And Saturn's reward to those who understand his energy is golden reaping. He was originally an agricultural deity. Amazingly, yet more, on the 20th of November there's a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. So that ties in with what I've just said about the need to respect Saturn, by far the strongest partner in the conjunction. But keep Jupiter alive, do vision work with Jupiter, and Jupiter brings expansion and blessing and guru, but use Saturn to be a vehicle and structure for your Jupiterian inspiration. I will put up a picture of Jupiter on the wall and light a